Really excited for our guest this week. He is a large human being, much larger than Mike and I, probably combined. I don't. We should do the math on that one of these days. And one of the guys who did the dirty work for UCF in his 3 years of the program. Happy to have Josh McMullen, offensive lineman, who is kind enough to join us on the show this week. Josh, first off, thanks for taking the time to join us on the show.
No, thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. You, as I said, you're a large human being, and you committed to UCF to play O line before the 2018 season. Obviously, that was the first year that Hypel was part of the program. So, take us through your recruitment a little bit. What led you to come to UCF? Who was your primary recruiter, and when did you know that you want to be a Knight?
So originally, I had been recruited by the Frost staff at first, but after about a week or so, that kind of went dead. So I didn't hear much from UCF after that until I saw Coach Hypel had taken the job, and then Coach Ellerby hit me up. At that time I was committed to Colorado. So I was a little iffy. It was getting close to signing day, so I didn't know if I really wanted to go down that route at first. But good friend of mine, they offered him to. He played Krista Loach. He played DN for UCF, and he ended up talking me to taking an official. So I took the official and just automatically fell in love with the place. I mean, it was a big thing for me when I was getting recruited was I wanted to find somewhere where I could tell the team had a really good bond, real tight-knit group of guys. And, I didn't feel that at a lot of places I took visits to. But, I mean, as soon as I got to UCF, I could tell that that group was something special. And they had a really, really close group. So, for me, that's pretty much what sealed the deal for me. I mean, I knew Hype's offense was fast. I knew, Coach Ellerby was a really good offensive line coach, had a really good pedigree about him. And then, that was it,
Talk to us about what was Josh Hypel like as a recruiter for fans and media. All we really saw from him was, go 1-0 and all three phases of the game and, leave it all out in the grass. All we saw was kind of cliches. What was he like as a recruiter? Was he funny? Was he charming? What was he like as a recruiter?
I'd say Coach Hype was definitely just a player's coach. I mean, he did a really good job relating to guys. And, I think that the fact that he was a college athlete at one point, he understood that, what we were going through on a day-to-day basis to an extent. And, I think he just had a way of talking to people that, maybe not to the media, but one-on-one, he's a pretty good recruiter, I'd say,
As an offensive lineman in his system, how much did you enjoy seeing the defenses have to fake injuries to try to slow you guys down? Or did you yourself just say, hey, I wish we would just slow down on our own?
That offense was fast, and there's no doubt about that. I mean, you can tell Tennessee now they're still flying around. But, I mean, yeah, that was definitely I want to say a morale booster. When you see a D lineman dropping to the ground, faking a calf cramp, I mean, it just lets you know that you're getting the ball moving and you're beating their tail, obviously. So, I mean, that's definitely a big deal. Like, especially when you're moving that quick, you get guys laying down on the ground. I mean, it goes to show, that their morale's down here and our morale's up here at that point.
You mentioned you were a transfer over from a community college in Mississippi. Who were the guys that were already on the team? You mentioned how the team was close-knit, it was more like a family. Who were the guys that kind of took you under your wing and helped you make that adjustment over to UCF?
Definitely Cole Snyder and Sam, and two definitely. They were actually the guys that took me on my official, and from then on there, I could tell, these two dudes are close. I mean, they're young, at the time, so that was something I was looking at too. But the way they interacted with the older guys, like Wyatt Miller, when I was there, you could definitely tell that they were all close together and everything. And then Jordan Johnson, obviously, he was a big time character, and just to see the brotherhood that those guys had built, it was definitely something I was excited to be a part of because, I mean, throughout my entire career, I've always had close teams, I mean, from high school all the way to junior college, we've been really close groups. I mean, still talk to a lot of those guys today. And, seeing the way they interacted with each other definitely made a big impact on my recruitment.
Josh, I read that your first year, obviously, you got to UCF in January. That you spent pretty much the next 8 or 9 months just working on your game, working hard, and put yourself in position. You were actually one of the guys at the top of the depth chart leading into that first game against UConn. What kind of things specifically did you have to work on in that off season that you knew you wanted to get better at as you got to UCF?
Uh, I'd say the main thing was my weight at the time, because I graduated high school at like 200 to 195 pounds. So like making that transition to a junior college and gaining weight, I made it to about 270 ish before I transferred to UCF. And then once I made that weight, I had to get it up higher. So, I was up around 300 by that point. That was a big thing for me. And then just building strength along with, just getting an understanding of the offense and an understanding of how the pace changes from level to level. You don't really get an understanding of how fast paced the game is until you're there playing it. But I mean, gathering that, and then all of a sudden, I had to work on just my mental aspect of learning football, and getting to the point where, I could play without thinking. Also, I think my pass pro was something I really wanted to work on a lot, because I made a change. I always played left tackle, and then Coach Ellerby wanted me to play right tackle that game. So I had to switch it up a little bit. And that was a challenge in its own, just being a guy that's never played both sides of the line like that.
When you say you had to gain weight or you had to get more weight, what does that mean? What do you have to do specifically? I mean, guys like Mike and I, we eat a pizza, we gain like 10 pounds. For an athlete like yourself, what do you have to do kind of to get yourself to the right weight and keep yourself at a good, healthy weight to be able to compete?
Well, a big thing for me was I just needed to put on mass. I mean, that was the biggest thing, was eating a lot of calories. The thing is, college athletes, we burn a lot of calories every day. I mean, you're going to burn a lot. So, I mean, most of the time, for an offensive lineman that's trying to put on weight, you're thinking in the ballpark around 8,000 calories a day,
Jeez.
and then you got to watch your protein intake and all that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure you're not just a sloppy, 300. You want to be as fit as you possibly can, as lean as you can at 300 pounds.
What does an 8,000 calorie like diet look like? What was a typical meal for you?
Oh man, back then, let's see, I'd start off breakfast. I'd eat like 1 or 2 omelets most days. Maybe a pancake if I could stomach it. And then one of our strength coaches, Rodney Hill, he actually was kind of in charge of my weight gaining process. So, he would always force feed me shakes, and I mean those shakes had anywhere from 8 to 1,000 calories a piece. So I mean you're taking in a lot of calories throughout the day, and that's the biggest thing, is making sure you're taking it throughout the day and not, just you can't take that in one sitting. So I mean, breakfast and lunch would look about the same. I mean, I'd eat, anywhere from 2 to 3,000 calories at lunch, and then dinner would be about the same for that.
So you joined a team that was undefeated the year before you got there. Then your first year, they're undefeated again in the regular season. We lose the Fiesta Bowl, but a team that's not really used to losing. And then we go into 2019. We start off hot again. We beat Stanford, but then we have 3 really tough losses that year: Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Tulsa. What was the locker room like after those games? Was there any finger pointing going on? How was the reaction of the team after some of those losses?
I don't want to say finger pointing, but I mean, you could definitely tell there was a shift. I mean, you got a bunch of guys that are not used to losing games like that, but you also have, a small group of people on the team that have seen UCF at, their low points and everything. And I mean, I think having those older guys in the locker room to help guide us along the way, it helped a lot with keeping our morale up and, understanding that, those first 2 years we had undefeated were just, they're great. That's the standard, but we're not going to get to that standard by, pointing fingers and playing the blame game and all that stuff. So, I mean, it was definitely a big part of our seniors that year to keep us up, keep our heads up, keep our chins high.
What actually hurts more? Because those 3 losses, I think, combined 7 points, very close games. Would you rather lose that way, just a nail biter, maybe a missed kick at the end, like the Memphis game last year, Or would you rather just get blown out like we did against BYU in the Boca Bowl?
Man, that's a really tough question, actually. But, I mean, neither one of them feel good. I mean, I'd say the ones where, you know, a little closer game, they hurt a little more just because it was within reach, you know. And, I mean, I think there's lessons in both of them. But, you know, that's a tough one. I'd definitely say the ones that you lose by a couple points definitely hurt a little bit more.
Yeah, I know as a fan, those hurt me the most. But I'm thinking if I'm a player to just get spanked like that against, like we did against BYU, that might be rough too. I don't know. But for a fan,
Those kind of losses definitely hurt the pride more than anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a mental toll taken on you when you lose a couple games back to back, you know, and then it's all about, you know, combined 7 points, like you said.
So at 2018 season, you walk on the line and you turn around behind you, and there's a young kid named Mackenzie Milton at quarterback who just did some unbelievable things with the football in his hands. How long did it take you to adjust to his playing style where no play was dead? He was going to draw something up in the dirt if something wasn't there. He was going to make a play, make a guy miss. He was always kind of making things happen. As an O lineman, how tough or how long did it take you to adjust to realizing, hey, no play is really ever over until Mackenzie says it's over?
I didn't think it'd take very long. I mean, you see it, he does that same stuff in practice. I mean, the guy we called it the Mackenzie magic. I mean, no play was ever dead, like you said. I mean, it didn't matter what was happening in the backfield, who missed the block. KZ probably had a way to get out of the pocket and make something happen. So, I mean, block till you hear the whistle. And, I mean, that's something that we've taught, you know, we've had taught to us since, you know, Ellerby, at least, that block to the whistle, to the echo of the whistle. And I mean, with Mackenzie, that took a whole different meaning, you know. And yeah, you definitely, I don't know, man. That guy's crazy. There's nothing sane about what he was doing that year.
Well, obviously, this past weekend, he got back on the field at the Bounce House for one final time, playing in the Hula Bowl. Obviously, you were there in 2018 when he went down. You saw him obviously on campus rehabbing. What were your thoughts? What were your emotions when you saw him kind of run back on the field one more time this past weekend, back at the Bounce House, knowing everything he'd been through?
Honestly, just pride, seeing that guy be who he is. I mean, it's a proud moment to know that you wear the same helmet as that guy. I mean, to see what happened, you know, in a first-person view, just to see the emotions run through the whole team, you know, and seeing him in that training room every single day, whether he was in the pool or, you know, having somebody rehab his leg for him, doing stuff like that, you know, seeing the pain he went through after the, you know, the first handful of surgeries and everything, the grit that kid has is unbelievable. And then just to see him walk out there on that field or run out there on that field and, you know, on his own two legs is just unbelievable.
You also got to block for a few pretty good running backs, someone with different styles. As an offensive lineman, does it change your approach at all if you have a speedy guy back there or a powerful guy like Bowser? Is there any difference in the blocking? Are you trying to get to the second level, or any difference at all between different styles of running backs?
I wouldn't say you try to change your style of blocking per se, because I mean, most of those guys, they're making their plays based on who the O-line is. I mean, you could just block how you normally block, and those guys are going to make things happen. You know, whether it was, you know, Taj in 2018 just running people over, or AK, you know, just bending the edge and, you know, burning it downfield, or, you know, now you got Zay who can run just about anybody in the conference over. I mean, it doesn't matter who you put in front of that guy, or Johnny who's going to fly downfield. I mean, I wouldn't say you would change how you block per se, but I mean, you know, there's a couple guys that, you know, the heavy hitters you want to block a little bit more for now, just because, you know, you see them running through people and taking beatings all day. So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to block to the whistle for this guy. But
is there any difference in the blocking schemes between what you were doing with Hypel and now with Malzahn? Basically the same, or you
I'd say with
stuff?
Hypel, it was, you know, it was more fast paced. So we didn't have exactly time to set up things the way we wanted to set them up, you know, and now Malzahn is still a quick offense, but, you know, it's slowed down a little bit more to the point where now we want to get things set up exactly how we want them. And we want to get blocks and double teams pushed back to, you know, people who, you know, to the second level. And, you know, it's different in that aspect because, like I said, when you're moving fast as lightning and you got guys falling on the ground catching calf cramps and stuff, you don't really have to worry. Things just magically happen, and there's a hole opened up because somebody wasn't lined up perfect. Now it's more of a hard nosed blocking scheme, like line up in front of us, we're going to beat you type scheme.
Is it a lot more pulling guards? I kind of noticed that a little bit more this year. You have guys, offensive linemen in motion more in the Malzahn system?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. We definitely pull a lot more, run a lot more power, a lot more GT counter this past year than we have in the past. And, I think our guards like it, though. I mean, I know our tackles definitely like it. They get to pull a lot more than we have in the past. But the guards, Kai and Cole, them boys love it. I mean, especially Cole. That son guy's got a head like a brick, so he loves running through somebody's face.
I assume as an O lineman that's more fun for you, that style where you're gonna set guys up, you're gonna make guys kind of work for it and impose your will. Not that Hypel's offense didn't allow that, but to your point, the speed was a big part of the element there. Where Malzahn, you guys get to be more hands-on, more tacticians. Do you enjoy that more, getting to manhandle somebody and really kind of take their will versus kind of just out athleting them, for lack of better words?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both. I like both. I mean, there's out athleting somebody. It's definitely a great feeling. There's nothing better than making your way up to the second level, and then you got a linebacker that's 230 getting out athleted by a guy that's 300. It feels pretty good seeing that. But also, I don't think as an offensive lineman there's any better than just running through somebody's face. I think just being able to actually, you grit your teeth, and all of a sudden you throw your head into someone, you can hear the bolts clank a little bit. I don't think you can beat that part of the hard-nosed offense that Malzahn runs nowadays.
Well, going back to 2020 for a second, obviously COVID impacted that entire season, that entire year for you guys. I know that was kind of a weird offseason, talking to a lot of your teammates the last couple of years. They've talked about just how unique it was. What was your experience like trying to stay in shape during COVID, maybe not knowing, when you guys were going to play? How did that whole offseason and so how did you experience that whole time in sort of the unknown period of the COVID year?
Oh, man, COVID was weird. So I lived in the dorms at the time, actually. So, once campus closed down and they kicked everybody out of the dorms, I had two choices: to either go live with some friends in their apartment or, their house they were renting or whatever, or I could go back home to Mississippi. And, everything was closed down. So I really didn't want to go back all the way to Mississippi, So I ended up living with a couple of my teammates for the majority of that. And we actually got pretty lucky because they actually had a weight room, or not a weight room. They had a barbell and a rack and, couple 100 pounds of weight. So, we got to work out pretty often just to kill boredom. I mean, the big thing was we didn't know when we were coming back. So, staying in shape was something we really wanted to do. We didn't want to get back into the weight room with, our strength staff and then, just lose everything pretty much that we had gained over the past year and a half, 2 years. And, that was definitely the hardest part, was the mental discipline of, telling yourself, hey, you got to wake up at a decent time. Hey, you got to go to bed at a decent time when there's no set schedule like that. But no doubt it was, COVID was wild. That's for sure.
I know some of your teammates, there's a bunch of guys who opted out. Did you give any thought to not playing at all, or were you always going to be all in as soon as there was a chance to play football?
I was all in from the beginning. I mean, the whole sitting around for a whole year and not doing anything just didn't sit right with me. I mean, I like to be productive as I can when I can be. And, the opportunity to go back into the locker room and, play football and be on the field with the guys was just too much of an opportunity to pass up for me.
What was your reaction when you found out that Hypel was leaving? And I know a lot of guys on the team were very vocal about wanting Jeff Lebby to take over. What was your whole stance on that, and how did you approach that whole situation?
So, I mean, we had an idea that it was going to happen, before it happened. So at the time, it was kind of a thing, okay, well, if he's leaving, who's he taking? because that's the biggest thing when a head coach takes another job is, well, now all your other position coaches, none of them have jobs for sure yet, at least. So, we were wondering, all right, who's going to stay, who's going to leave, who's going to take with them. And, I think, I don't want to say it wasn't a good feeling at first when he left. We were all kind of upset, pissed off to say the least, but I mean, at the end of the day, he had to do what he had to do. I mean, I can't hold that against him, especially in this industry nowadays. But as far as Jeff Lebby, no, we all definitely wanted Coach Lebby in the mix when it came to picking a new head coach. That's for sure.
So they announced Malzahn. I know probably not the player's first choice, but now you've had a year to work with him. What is Malzahn like as a head coach? Would you describe him as a player's coach? Is he a disciplinarian? What's he like behind the scenes in the locker room?
I'd say he's a good mix of a disciplinarian coach and a player's coach. I mean, he's going to hold you to a standard. And, I mean, if you don't meet that standard, there's going to be consequences behind that. But at the same time, I think he can go from that to getting down on a level where he's personal with a player. And, I think he says it all the time. He's not a college coach. He's a high school coach. And I think I think when he says that, he means it because, I mean, he reminds you of every Southern movie coach you've seen. I mean, he's that guy. I mean, definitely a great guy, no doubt about it. I mean, I like his coaching style. I like him as a person. I think, he can get down, like I said, on a personal scale, and I think he actually generally cares about his players.
He doesn't curse at all, does he? All the clips I've seen of him, he might be one of the only football coaches I've seen that doesn't actually curse. Was that something new for you?
Yeah, it's definitely something new for me. I mean, I've never – I take that back. My junior college head coach didn't cuss at all. I think I've heard him once. And then I don't think I've ever heard Malzahn cuss. So that might be a first, never hearing a head coach cuss ever. But, Malzahn, he definitely has a way with words. Besides the cussing part, he'll get after you. I mean, you'll sit there and have to think about what he just said to you sometimes, and you're like, man, that's kind of harder than cussing at me. Jeez. But I mean, no, he's definitely a first, I guess.
Is that like when he told Obarski that he's gonna make him go for it on fourth downs a lot? I mean, that was kind of rough.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Well, you mentioned you spend more time, obviously, with your position coaches. If we thought Glenn Ellerby was interesting, tell us about Herb Hand. He seems like a really interesting dude. He seems like he's the kind of guy that, coaches you guys hard, but you guys all seem to have a really good connection. The Our Time series, the episode about the O-line, it seemed like there's a genuine love and bond between you guys. Tell us about Herb Hand. What's he like as a coach?
Coach Hand he's a character to say the least. I mean, he's the type of guy you're either going to love him or you hate him. I mean, he's going to get after you regardless of how you feel about him. I mean, he's going to hold everyone to a standard. And that's a big thing for him is the standard. I mean, if we fall below the standard, I mean, I can promise you it's not going to be a fun day in the room. But, with that comes I want to say like a fatherly connection, because, I mean, yeah, he's getting after you, but it's not because, he just wants to get after you or whatever. It's definitely – there's definitely a love there. He definitely cares about his players for sure. Yeah,
one of my favorite parts of that. Did you get a chance to see the Our Time series? Were you guys watching that one week after week?
Yep.
One of my favorite parts was Matt Lee got injured and was trying to play and couldn't go. And they had him mic'd up walking off the field. And you could tell Matt was kind of crying, a little upset. And Coach Hand was telling him he loved him. He did his job. He fought for his brothers. That was a real cool moment to kind of see. How much of that did you guys get a chance to kind of bond with as each other? I know as an offensive line unit, you guys are really unique, kind of special. Tell us about the bond you guys all had as a team, just as a unit, working together every day on the O-line.
Oh, man, that bond is deep, I mean, to say the least. I mean, I think, we're a one-of-a-kind group, like you said. I mean, not a lot of people or nobody else on the football team really has the pressure, but, doesn't get any limelight like we do. I mean, as soon as we mess up, jersey numbers getting called out, names getting called out. But you have a 300-yard rushing game, most of the time you're not going to see anybody say anything about the O-line, which I mean, I think as a group, we like that. You know, we don't like being in the limelight and, you know, having all that exposure, I guess you could say, because we keep it in our room. We know what we did, you know, but I mean, you were asking about our bond. I mean, I think majority of us in that room have a tattoo together. Actually, we call ourselves the thick fellas. So we a lot of us actually have that tattooed on our thigh. I mean, I don't know how else to say, you know, how much of a bond we have other than that.
I don't think anybody's ever told us that before, that you guys all had
Oh,
that
you haven't
tattoo.
heard that before?
No, that's
No.
new.
Yeah, there's a couple of us. We all got the just says thick fellas right across the front of our thigh.
Is thick with 2 C's or C and a K?
C and a K.
Okay.
Now, is there a lot of explaining to do when you guys, you know, maybe a girlfriend sees that tattoo and doesn't know what's going on there?
We get some weird looks every now and then. But, you know, once we explain, you know, hey, it's, you know, some old lines call themselves the hogs. You know, we call ourselves the thick fellas.
All right, I'm with it. I think you guys should have marketed that a little bit more with the NIL stuff. That's the first I'm hearing of it. Maybe
Yeah,
we thought
about getting after that, but yeah, I think I think it's just a little bit of laziness in there with us. We didn't really get that done.
So you were a part of a lot of big games in the last 4 years here. What's your favorite memory of UCF? What's your favorite game to look back on?
Oh man, if I had to say any, I mean, just as far as recent memory goes, I mean, obviously the Florida game, that was huge. I mean, you know, once that time finally ran out, you know, I understood that, you know, that was the last time I'd be stepping on the field as a college football player. You know, that was a big deal, especially seeing a lot of the younger guys, and, you know, everybody's got tears rolling and everything. But if I had to say my favorite game of all time, it'd be the conference championship against Memphis, my first year here. That was
wild.
Unbelievable. I mean, I don't think the Nightmare could have showed up any better than they did that day.
That game was crazy. But the Florida game you just mentioned too, how much talk was there going into that game to actually prove to these guys? We've been talking for years as fan bases, but to actually, as players on the team, prove to these guys that we are the best team in Florida. And was there any talk on the field during that or afterwards about
it? Yes, no doubt. I mean, obviously, we've always had social media beef, I guess you can say. But, I mean, going into that game, we only had one thing on our mindset, and that's beating them. We didn't care the fact that they were Florida or not. I mean, yeah, that did have a lot to play in it, but honestly, we just wanted to humble some people. And, I mean, you know, all week we had been watching film, you know, getting an understanding who was going to be playing in that game, who was not. You know, being a bowl game, you got to watch these things with, you know, guys declaring and, you know, opting out of the bowl games and everything. So that, you know, we always kept an updated roster and made sure we were watching games. And I think, you know, up front, at least we knew for a fact we could beat these guys undoubtedly 100%. And, you know, I think, you know, as the week progressed, you know, it started becoming more of a personal thing than just a business thing. And, you know, all the way up until that last practice we had, it was like, look, we're about to play Florida. And, you know, this is where we got to show ourselves as the best team in Florida.
Take us back to the start of that season for a second. The Boise State game. Mike and I are outside. We're getting ready to go. It's the first game of the year, and you guys get sent back to the locker room for, I don't know, what felt like hours. What the hell did you do for those 2 hours that you were waiting? Did you sleep? Were you eating? Did you social media? What were you doing as you were waiting to get back on the field?
Well, first, you know, the first lightning delay, I just decided I was going to go back, sit in my locker, you know, look at my phone for a minute just to get an idea of how long this is going to last. And I think by the second or third one, I had completely taken my shoulder pads off, was laying on the floor, you know, like, good Lord, are we even going to play this game? I mean, obviously we all wanted to at that point, but, you know, you got guys laying on the floor, taking naps, guys looking at their phones, other guys are just, you know, rolling out some more and stretching. I mean, that was definitely a lot of chaos for sure. I mean, you know, as Coach Malzahn said, that was our first big adversity of the year.
Oh, but you guys had plenty more after that. Louisville.
No.
I mean, oh my God. Have you ever seen as many people get injured as you saw during the Louisville game? I mean, did you guys like step on a voodoo doll on the way in? Did you park on an Indian burial ground? Like what the heck happened? What were your thoughts as you kept going to the locker room and seeing guy after guy lined up on the training table after the Louisville game?
Honestly, I'm blaming it on the turf 100%.
Okay.
Because I mean, I could tell as soon as we stepped on that turf that it had not been well taken care of, and it definitely needs to be replaced. Because I mean, like literally, we were going through warm ups, and I'd go to step or something, and then my foot was stuck in the ground. I mean, you don't want a lot of give with turf, because then you'll have people sliding all over the place. But at the same time, you don't want it feeling like you're stuck in mud. And then on top of that, I mean, it literally felt like we were walking on concrete. So I mean, you had all that to deal with, but which was obviously something that took a giant toll on us. And I mean, it was definitely disheartening just because we had a lot of guys that were going to play a lot that year. And I mean, they were going down injury after injury, and it was disappointing to see. At the same time, I think our experience in the past had, because it was it's a big thing in our locker room to never worry and to never, I don't know, never falter, I guess you could say. I mean, I don't think there's one point in any game we played since I started here where we thought we were gonna lose. I mean, not even depending on when we were. I mean, so I mean that game, that was tough for sure.
Not only were the players getting hurt, Malzahn gets a broken leg during the season. How much crap did you guys give Quadric Bullard for running him over during that time?
I don't think we gave Quadric as much crap as we did Malzahn breaking his leg. Yeah, he had his little scooter rolling around. I think he had a new little decal or he had a license plate at one point for the scooter. So I think we joked on him a good bit about that. But man, yeah, that was definitely another big part of the season's adversity. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a coach get injured like that during a game. I mean, it was just a freak accident, though, honestly.
How much did it change the next few games? He's coaching from a tabletop behind your back on the sidelines. He's not able to roam the sidelines, communicate maybe as much. Did that change anything for you guys on the field?
Yeah, it definitely changed for the line because Coach Hand had to go up into the booth for a couple games. And, that's something, I mean, at least in our room, we've never had to deal with was, an O-line coach not being on the field. So, I mean, we always kept the headset close and, stayed in constant communication with him the whole time. And, it was different, but I think, the maturity in our room that we have and, the amount of older players that we have kept us good. I mean, we stayed pretty grounded the whole time with that, and of course you had Coach Miles on his little platform. That was something different we had to look for.
That was weird, right? Did you guys feel weird turning around? If you wanted to yell at somebody, you just hear a voice coming from behind you. How did that work?
So basically we had a GA, Caleb Pickrell, he was our GA at the time, and he kept his headset on 24/7. And, whenever Coach Hand needed to give somebody a good chewing, he'd tell Pick over the headset, hey, hands the headset to so-and-so. And, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, there's sometimes you could hear it coming through the headset, even with it on. I mean, because, he definitely took it, a little bit more, those chewings a little more serious since he was up in the booth and not down on the field. But, I mean, they were butt chewings from care for sure.
All right, Josh, we got to ask, one of the stories that dominated the season, obviously, was Dylan goes down in the Louisville game. And, everyone's kind of wondering, when's he coming back? When's he going to play again? When's he healthy? When did you guys know that it was a probability that he wasn't going to play again this season?
Oh, man. I'd say about 4 or 5 weeks after that, we kind of knew, like, all right, at this point, we didn't think that there was really a point in him coming back by that, because he got over the injury, but at the same time, what's the point of coming back for a few games and injuring again when you got Mikey, who's, a young guy, but, needing the experience, and he's getting the experience, and then, with the whole transfer thing, we kind of, we got an understanding. Yeah, there's no point you coming back now. If you got transferred, then, there's no point going back out there and risking more injury, when you won't even be wearing this jersey in a year. So, I mean, we understood I'd say, about a week or two before everybody else kind of got the idea that he wasn't coming back.
So you guys knew at that point he had essentially intended on transferring at that point. You kind of already maybe spoken or unspoken. That was kind of the word you guys all kind of understood.
It was definitely more of an unspoken thing.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, the way the transfer portal's been this year, it's not shocking for anyone to leave. I mean, as many people have just dropped and left other schools, but I mean, once we kind of got the idea of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think there's any hard feelings towards that, just because I mean, hey, if you find something you think's going to be better for you, dude, I can't hold nothing against you for going after it.
But as a teammate, you talked earlier about the brotherhood, how much you guys love and respect each other. I can tell you're a guy who really loves your teammates and will go to war with them. Does it at all? Do you kind of like look around when people, maybe not even just Dylan, but when someone's maybe thinking about leaving or transferring, does part of you get kind of pissed off? Like, hey man, like be all in, I'm all in. Why aren't you all in? Or is it just the day and age, man? Is this just college football where it's just what it is now?
I think there's a part of you that gets mad. I mean, what the hell you think? You're thinking, hey man, this is the team. Where you going? Why you want to leave? What's so bad about this? But at the same time, you got to bring it back down to a perspective of, of someone doing what they think's best for them. And like I said, at the end of the day, I can't get mad at anyone for that. So, if you think, hey man, I didn't need to leave, this is something I think will be better for me in the long run, then I mean, on a personal scale, I'm gonna be pissed off, but at the same time, I'm not gonna hold anything against you.
Well, you mentioned Mikey Keene. I mean, now that we know sort of more of the story, I mean, the balls on that kid, right? Coming in, replacing Dylan, obviously a lot of injuries. He's got to grow up on the spot, a true freshman, a new offense. And yeah, we had a couple of rough ones against Cincy and SMU, but by and large, I mean, he battled. He stuck it out all year. I mean, it sounds like he was injured a period of time too. What did you see from Mikey's growth and maturation as the season went on? And how, so towards the end, watching him close that victory out against UF, how proud were you of him being his teammate?
Oh man, unbelievably proud. Just to put it short, I mean, Mikey got thrown to the fire. I mean, he had some big shoes to fill. Coming in after KZ, coming in after DG. I mean, without a doubt, had some big shoes to fill, and could have probably used another year to sit down and understand the offense a little bit better. Gain a little bit more. I don't even know it, but no doubt. I mean, he got thrown to the fire, and the way he approached every day, with a smile on his face and grinding, and just the pure effort he put into that team. I mean, it's unbelievable how proud I am of him as a young kid to come in here and do what he did.
The other quarterbacks, they have their little nicknames, KZ, DG. Don't you think Mikey could have really grabbed onto a nickname? I try to call him King Kong. Maybe that would like catch on. Maybe after he throws touchdowns, he can start beating his chest and stuff. You think that's something that can maybe you put it in his ear? Maybe he can go with it for next year?
I'll definitely talk to him about it. I don't know. I've always called him Mikey. I mean, I don't think. I think it fits him just because when I think about a Mikey, I think about a young guy or a young kid, and I mean, he's always been a little young gun on the team. I mean, he came in pretty young, and I mean, he had his 18th birthday, a quarter of the way through the season. So I mean, it was. He's always been like a little brother, I guess you could say, because I mean, my younger brother, he's 19 years old. So the fact that I'm playing with someone younger than my baby brother, he always was that little kid in my head. So Mikey was what stuck,
But after he beats Florida, can we call him Mike? When does he graduate to Mike? You know what I mean?
Oh man, I think when that goatee starts feeling a little more, I'll call him Mike.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
How much did the playbook actually change after Dylan got hurt and Mikey came in? Because I mean, Dylan is a veteran, right? He's third year now starting, and the offense seems to be rolling pretty good. And now you got that, like you said, a 17-year-old kid coming in. How much of that playbook had to get scaled back for the next few weeks when he started?
I don't think we scaled it back per se. I think we just dialed in everything a little bit more. We wanted to get the plays that we wanted to run into the playbook and onto the call sheet. And, we did simplify it a little bit, just because he is a younger guy and a little bit more inexperienced and, maybe not as comfortable in the pocket sometimes as you want him to be, but, he's a young kid. And, I think at what game was it? was about the halfway mark when, you know, in his little tenure that, you know, we started to open back up, you know, because you could tell he started getting a little bit more comfortable.
Josh, when you look back on your career at UCF, what'll be your lasting memories? Is there one thing, one person? Just how do you sum up your 4 years at UCF?
Oh, man, I don't think you can sum those 4 years up. There's so many memories to think about. I mean, definitely the team. I mean, by far. I mean, I'm definitely going to remember those guys for life. I mean, the memories that I've shared with them on and off the field will last a lifetime. And I'm going to tell my grandkids some of the stories, not all of them, but some of the stories that, you know, I share with a lot of those guys.
You can tell them about the tattoos?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they're going to hear about the tattoos for sure.
And then what's next for you? Obviously, I saw, do I have this right? You graduated with 2 degrees from UCF?
Yep.
So what's next for you? Are you going to keep the football dream going? Are you going to take some time off? You get into coaching, get into professional life? What's next for you?
Oh, so right now I'm back in school, actually. I decided to take a little detour in life, I guess. I'm going back to school for a utility lineman.
Okay.
So I'm at a trade school right now. And, you know, I'm thinking about doing that and then going on to an apprenticeship and, you know, continuing with that to the point I can make journeyman, hopefully, and seeing where that takes me.
Any interest in getting back into coaching, staying involved in football, or do you just need a break after all the time you put into the sport?
Oh, man. Yeah, I thought about getting into coaching for a long time. You know, it's something – football is always going to be dear to me, without a doubt. I mean, I'm definitely going to be the dad at Little League games that's, you know, wants to jump in and coach, but probably, you know, going to have to hold himself back a little bit. But, you know, I don't think I'll get into coaching just because, I mean, you know, football is, you know, I think it's time to hang up the cleats and, you know, take a break from a while from it.
Well, I can't see too many people holding you back if you're trying to get on the field. So I think you'll be quite all right if you do that. So, look, we appreciate your time. It's been fun, but we end every interview around here with some rapid fire questions. So these could be questions about music, movies, sports. You never know what you're going to get. So you prepared for these hard hitting questions?
Oh yeah, let's go.
All right. So take all of your offensive linemen, and let's say I'm going to have a chicken wing eating contest. 15 minutes. All the wings you can eat. Who comes out the winner?
I'm going to say between Cole Snyder and Hypel. And I'm going to probably give the edge to Cole. That dude's got a bottomless pit when he wants it.
All right. We know it's probably easy for the quarterbacks to go out there and have some game with the ladies. But among the big uglies, the guys, the thick, what do we call them? The thick boys?
Thick
Which
fellas.
one of you guys?
Thick
fellas. Which one of you guys has the most game when it comes? Who's the biggest ladies man when it comes to going out on the town?
Oh man, I'm gonna give it to Marcus Tatum. I mean, the guy doesn't even really try. He'll just go out and, you know, he'll go downtown at some slides if he wants. And I mean, the guys can spit game.
What is the worst away venue game you've been a part of? Which away game just has the worst stadium, maybe the worst fans, the worst setup? What place did you dread going to?
Oh man, I'm not gonna lie to you. Probably Memphis.
Wow,
the venue wasn't that bad. I mean, but the fans, oh my god, they got I think what we have. You know, not as good as the Nightmare, but they definitely have a fan base that you don't want to play around. I can remember actually my first year at UCF, we had a guy standing behind us just chirping at us the whole night. And then finally he yelled at us. He yelled our numbers out. I think it was me and Parker Boudreaux yelled our numbers out. And we turn around and look, and there's just this fat white guy pulls his shirt up, and he's got Memphis tattooed across the bottom of his stomach. I was like, dude, that is not what I want to look at right now.
What about
you should have
Tulsa?
showed him the thick fellas.
Yeah.
What about Tulsa? I imagine you fall asleep at Tulsa. That just seems like a dreadful place to play.
Yeah, I mean, cold. You know, the fan base wasn't all the way there, I guess you can say. But I mean, no, I mean those games. You know, they're not. You got to make your own juice, and if you can't do that, then you know you're not going to have juice the whole game. But I mean, I'd say definitely the ones where the fans are getting involved are definitely tougher games.
You mentioned Parker Boudreaux, and we know he's now got that wrestling career going on. What would be your professional wrestling name, and what would be your entrance song?
Oh God, I don't know about an entrance song, but I know at one point I got called the Mud Turtle. I think I'm going with that. I think the Mud Turtle is definitely going to be my wrestling name.
You want to give us any background on why you're called the Mud Turtle?
So that was an old saying. I guess it's just one of those old school Mississippi sayings. When somebody's slow, you call them a Mud Turtle, and I referenced it one day, and then it just kind of stuck. Somebody called me your Mud Turtle. I was like, okay, I guess I am, and it kind of stuck from there.
Again, some more NIL deals you guys didn't capitalize on.
Oh, no doubt.
What's the last movie that made you cry?
The last movie that made me cry. Oh, man.
I mean, you're a big guy, but you're sensitive, right? You got feelings. I mean, sometimes those movies get to you.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Let me see. I'm not going to lie. The last time I was in Orlando, I was watching I was in Cole Schneider's apartment. We were watching Fury, the Brad Pitt movie.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't cry, but I got a little teary-eyed at the end of that one.
You got Dusty in there?
Oh yeah, got a little little allergies or something going on.
Yeah, that happens.
All right, I want to play a little game here. It's called Who's More Likely, Malzahn or Hypel? Are you ready? So who's more likely to know your birthday, Malzahn or Hypel?
I'm gonna say Hypel.
Hypel, all right.
Malzahn's
who's more likely
to guy, but sometimes he forgets things.
Who's more likely to make you laugh?
Oh, Malzahn,
with more jokes.
Sure.
Malzahn's funny?
Oh yeah, hilarious.
All right. Who's more likely to fart in a meeting room and then blame one of the offensive linemen?
Oh man, that'd definitely be Malzahn. I can see that one.
Really? I thought for sure that was gonna be Hypel. All right.
No, definitely. Malzahn's got a humor about him. He likes to mess with the line a lot.
Who's more likely to win a karaoke contest?
Oh God. What are they singing?
I don't know. I guess they get to pick their own songs. I don't know.
I was say if we're going with some red dirt country, I'm going Malzahn all the way. But if we're going any kind of Tennessee music, we're going hype, I guess.
All right. And who's more likely who got you more hyped up before a game?
That's tough. I don't know, man. Malzahn and the Booms get you going pretty good. He gives you this little pregame speech. It sounds like you're in like a Remember the Titans or something with the way his pregame speeches go. You hear that old Southern accent get to spilling out, and man, I don't know. I think definitely Malzahn.
All right.
All right, after the space game, Malzahn was presented with a jersey, which looked like a boy's medium, and he tried to put that thing on. Was there any part of you that was scared that he was going to hurt himself, or were you just in laughter as he was trying to put on the schmedium jersey?
Oh, I mean, when they pulled it out, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh, he's definitely just going to, put it up on the wall or something like that. And then he went to go put it on. I was like, oh, man, I don't know about that, coach. It looks like something for Quadric or something like that, But he got it on. I mean,
we didn't see him get it off, though.
Fit some shoulder pads under there, but he definitely got it on.
We didn't see him get it off, though, to be fair. Did he have to cut it off? Do you know if he actually got it off?
I didn't even see him take it off, actually. I mean.
See?
Yeah, I hate to miss that part. That'd been funny.
All right. Which one of your teammates would you want on your side during a zombie apocalypse?
During a zombie apocalypse?
Yeah. Who's going to help you out the most?
Oh, I'm going with Jake Hescock for sure.
Was he just got guns? Is he a hunter or something? Why?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely a hunter. Me and him both. I mean, we've been hunting plenty of times in Florida. So, I mean, I trust his aim.
Well, Josh, we appreciate you taking some time to share your thoughts, your memories of your years at UCF. Obviously, you were part of some really big teams, and you were one of those guys that did the dirty work that makes this whole thing go. So I know we definitely appreciate you. Glad you could take some time to talk to us, and hopefully we get a chance to catch up with you soon.
All right, sounds good. Y'all have a good one.
All right, go Knights.
Charge on.